Hey patrons, welcome to your monthly collective reading. This is going to be for July 2024. I am using two different decks. I'm using the Light Seers Tarot with a Fantasy Oracle, and I have a white tea light for spirit. I have poured salt in here to kind of cleanse the space and to ground. I also have washed my hands with Florida water. I have my mala beads here that I've spent many hours chanting with. Excuse me. And this specific set of beads is for Hecate. I do have a raven here, not only for my business, Raven Hope, but also for the Morrigan. She has carried me through a lot of turbulent times, according to, my storyline, if you want to say. I also have the string lights for just a nice touch. And then this is a Happy Planner notebook. And I just kind of set that up because I like it. It looks like a night sky, and I just like it. And the little string lights is just to add more of a touch, like I said. And then I think I've discussed everything on the table. And yeah, I call in my guides and your guides and all beings alike to assist me with this reading, and that everyone watching this gets a clear and accurate message for them. And we're just going to kind of see what comes forward. And I'm seeing angel number 47 and then angel number 067, which is interesting. I usually don't see a 0 in front of other numbers, if that makes sense. But we're going to see what's coming through for us for July. And see what's going on here. So I heard a couple different things. The first thing I heard was self-dedication, self-soothing, and self-determination. So I feel like this month is really about kind of leveling up our own inner dialogue, our own energy levels. And it's funny that I really did want to have, before I started this reading, I decided to have a protein shake with blueberries in it. I felt like I needed the antioxidants and just really the protein, and I'm drinking some water. And if you guys know me in person, I'm a very big pop drinker, like diet pop. So, and coffee. And I just really have been wanting to drink more water. The first card that came through is Judgment. So, I mean, this would make sense. If we're doing a self-reflection and we're hearing all that other stuff going on, right? We hear the self-dedication, the self-soothing, and the self-motivation or determination. This is not always about justice. This isn't always about weighing pros and cons. This is just about, to me, I just keep hearing reflection. So again, this is more of talking with our higher self, as the card depicts, maybe reaching a higher level of understanding of self-compassion and dedication. I'm not sure what you guys are going to be going through in July, or what I'm going to be going through, or we're going through as a collective, but it has a lot to do with ourself and a lot how we portray ourselves, not necessarily to others, but to ourselves. What kind of stories are we telling ourselves internally, and how is it affecting all those other ripple effects in every area of our life? I want to see what else is going to come through, because, I mean, that does make a lot of sense why we would have that card. Well, okay. King of Cups in reverse. So, again, I feel like a lot of us have been maybe too hard on ourselves, and we have really been emotionally unavailable to the present moment. And we have really been juggling a lot of what ifs, a lot of past memories, a lot of future dreams. And Spirit is really wanting you to kind of take that into consideration and see where you can really balance out that mindset and kind of align it. Um, and for whatever reason, they're wanting me to mention SMART goals, specific, measurable, obtainable. I can't remember what the R stands for, or the T. But yeah, I would look that up. A lot of you are not really setting goals. You're setting more of wishes or like resolutions, but you're not taking the steps to do that. So I would stick to 1 to 3 goals. And that's what I'm being shown spiritually and psychically and clairvoyantly. Clairaudiently, I'm hearing again, really take this month to kind of do some meditation, do some inner work. And I don't mean the heavy shadow work, which, if that's what you feel like you need to do in order to get the answers you seek, then that's fine. But don't overwhelm yourself. You don't want to be chained down to too much expectations, and then you're not going to get anything done. Another thing I'm hearing is procrastination and perfectionism. You don't want to get into that either. Knight of Swords in reverse. So a lot of us are having a lot of difficulty with coming to terms with people leaving our lives and how it's affected our mindset, how has it affected our energy levels, and why are we not seeing that it is not a blessing in disguise? Because the 7 of Cups is coming up upright. So that's telling me a couple things. And you guys, I would be happy to get your guys' interpretations of the cards if you're a tarot reader or you're learning, or intuitively, even if you don't read tarot professionally. Just, I would like to know, because I like to see other people's point of views. I like to learn as I'm teaching. And so when I see this card, it reminds me of maybe, once again, over analyzing to the point where we're overwhelmed. We don't know what direction we want to take. We think we know because what society tells us, but is that overwhelming us? Is that making us really miss our point of destiny, is what I'm hearing, or point of view? Or is that missing our point of mission, so to speak, And then we have the 9 of Wands in reverse. So again, I feel like there is a lot of things that we've been wanting to move into, but we're having too many distractions, or we're having too many choices. So it's really about narrowing down what specific things are important to you right now. And a lot of you, it will be money. A lot of you, it will be spirituality. A lot of you will be health. Whatever that case may be, they really want you to choose wisely. And even if you feel like you've made the wrong choice, in the next couple months, you will get to the point where you will know 100% what you need to focus on. But this month is really about kind of like inventory, if you want to say that. Now we have the Tower in reverse. So a lot of us have already had too many of those moments, right? Where everything seems to be shifting we don't feel like it's for the better, but in the end it really is. Or even if it has kind of turned out to be kind of a downside or a depressive state of being. Spirit is telling me about that Bible verse about how God will work things out for the higher good of everybody, or at least try to, is what I hear Spirit saying with a laugh. So I feel like a lot of you may not like, Bible verses. So, but what I hear is your spirit team is really trying to work through a lot of your hangups, a lot of your moments that have caused a lot of grief. So they're really wanting you to see that the tower moment is there for a turning point and not there to burn bridges, is what I'm hearing. And if it does burn bridges, what they're telling me is that it is for the higher good that you don't know about yet. So the bigger picture, the behind the scenes, so to speak. Now we have the Magician in reverse. So this again is telling us that a lot of us are not seeing our own potential. A lot of us are not seeing our own effect on others. And this is a positive thing. I don't feel like it's a negative thing, though I feel like a lot of you are reflecting on possibly the bad. And that's not necessarily bad. It's just they don't want you to get stuck in that depressed moment or those self-sabotaging behaviors. They really want you to see your own magic, your own will, your own potential in the sense of making a difference, not just in other people's lives, but your life. You really need to see that as a key, like a skeleton key to open up endless possibilities. And again, for whatever reason, they're wanting me to discuss this, but I have really been thinking lately about my life and how I thought it was going to be or how I wanted it to be, and it is completely different. But that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It just is. I have grieving points for it, and I feel like that's what Spirit wants you to know, is that if you're grieving something that you really wanted and you didn't get, there is a bigger plan or a purpose behind that. And it might take years for you to figure out why that has happened. But the other card here is the Devil in reverse. So a lot of you are aware of the pros and cons of things. A lot of you are critical thinkers. A lot of you are you're achiever, you know. And so what Spirit's telling you with this card in reverse, I feel like they want you to embrace those darker sides of yourself in order to help yourself and in return affect others without even noticing it. A lot of us are putting too much work on the outside and not enough in the inside. And a lot of us, we're wearing ourselves out. Like we're running on E constantly. And so Spirit wants you to know that if your purpose is to help people, that doesn't have to always be an active choice or an active force or it's hard to explain, but that's what they're telling me. It doesn't always have to be hand over hand, if that makes sense. I'm going to pull a couple more cards before I end the reading here because I just feel like there's a couple more messages. And the animal guides I'm seeing, which is interesting, is giraffes and hippos. I don't know why. But, you know, if you look up those animal spirits and see what messages they have, that will kind of give you some more insight into more messages. If you're into that, I mean, you guys don't have to look up those numbers or those animals. Periwinkle is the color I'm seeing, and gold for colors. Again, this is just extra if you guys feel guided to look it up. Some of you might not even look it up, and that's fine. That doesn't mean you won't get the blessings or the messages later on throughout the month, but we're just focusing in on what the cards have. I'm not going to necessarily discuss everything with you. You know, so if you want homework, that could be your homework. You can journal about what those numbers and what those animals mean. So we have the Dancer in reverse, self-expression and strength. So it's interesting. Before I started this reading, 2 cards came out, and it was actually from the Light Seers Tarot, which was the strength. And it was upright. Now this is reverse. So what this is telling me is that a lot of you are criticizing yourself. Am I being strong enough? Is what, you know, if I can't endure this, I'm not strong. That is not the case. We see the red, which reminds me of the String of Fate, which reminds me also of self-expression can be in many forms, but it doesn't always have to be, again, I'm hearing it doesn't always have to be action. It could be more of a small, still moment. It could be, expressing yourself enough to let go and see what spirit has for you. We also have the puppeteer, explanations and apologies. So don't let yourself manipulate yourself. Don't let others manipulate you. There is a lot of energies going on where it is almost like what spirit is telling me, it's dramatized. And that doesn't mean that there isn't some truth to that, but it's not to where you want to get so wrapped up in it, in the drama, where you are not seeing the blessing behind it. And again, burnout is I just keep getting that feeling like a lot of us are burnt out. And this is a month to really stop and not burn ourselves out. If that has to be, you're not paying attention to other people's BS is what they're telling me, or other people's show and tell, that might mean you might have to be setting boundaries. And Spirit doesn't want you to always constantly apologize for setting these boundaries, because when I see this card, it's not only about explanation, but it's also about apologies, right? So we don't want to always give too much information out, and we don't want to have to apologize to take care of ourselves. And don't let other people give you guilt trips. This has been a running theme in my day job quite some time now, especially the last week, is people giving other people guilt trips when it comes to grieving, when it comes to self-compassion, when it comes to responsibility. And they really, it's the universal thing right now, I feel like, is we really need to pay attention to that and how it is affecting our lives and those around us, and how we can really put our foot down and say, no, we're not going to discuss this any longer. We're not going to do any more guilt trips. This is how it's supposed to be, or this is how I want it to be. And if you can't accept that, then I'm sorry, you're going to have to just, step aside out of my life for a while until you can figure out what you need to work on to not let that trigger you. You know what I mean? So that's really what I'm feeling with this. And then we also have the fate, accepting help and guidance. So again, this is spirit saying that you could be your own help and guidance. It might be fate that you are your own strength, and you have to stand up for yourself, and you have to encourage others to do the same, because you don't want to go through this negative cycle of self-impending doom, is what they're telling me. And how a lot of us, I don't know why this is coming up, but clairvoyantly they're showing me when Jesus came out of his tomb and he rose again, and and they have that rock there covering the opening of his resting place. So there is some symbolic reasons there. I'm not quite sure why, but I feel like a lot of us are coming into our own refuge. We're seeing where that is. We're seeing where the power is, and we're really resurrecting things, or even parts of ourselves that we have let died off or even hidden for some time. And this is the time to let it come out. The last card we have is the guide, inheritance and correction. Wow. So to me, that, like the ringing of the bell, the calling, I'm hearing grace and resurrection. So again, that would make sense. Now, a lot of you might not agree with the Abrahamic religion or Christianity, but the guide is about any person that you look up to. It doesn't have to be Jesus. It doesn't have to be any other god or deity or goddess. It could just be an animal guide. It could be a loved one. It could be yourself. It could just be something you enjoy that gives you inspiration, such as a hobby. So they really want you to kind of consider that as well as a muse for the month, to kind of figure out this enigma you have in front of you about yourself, about how you can really make a lot of change and potential to better your life, to give you better quality of life in all aspects. Excuse me, I hope this makes sense. If you have any comments or questions, just please leave them down below or just send me a message. You can message me on Instagram or Facebook, and I will leave my email too if I can remember to put it in the description with Patreon. But yeah, I might actually post this to YouTube and just give everyone kind of a glimpse of what the collective reading is going to look like if you decide to purchase my Patreon subscription. But the healings and the one-on-ones in the behind the scene content I will not post, because that will be specifically for my patrons, and I will actually do video requests on subjects, teachings. I might even do a couple lives on there. That way every month someone gets to have a reading, whether they want it private or they want it public with the other patrons. I figured I'd do something along those lines and just try to get on a schedule so you guys could really enjoy the subscription and know that it's worth the money. And I really do thank you guys, paid or not paid, your support and your love, your patience. I mean, tremendous patience, especially on YouTube and TikTok, because I have took quite a break, and I'm feeling really ready to jump back in it. I will talk to you guys soon. Many blessings.